Hey everyone, PushingUpRoses here. Welcome back to my art channel. So today's experiment is inspired by Mixed Media Girl, who did these amazing like 3D paintings with these really cheap masks you can find at the dollar store, or this one I just got at Blick. It's just a paper mask, and I've already glued it down to a wooden canvas. This painting is going to go through some very exciting changes, just so you know, because this is my first time doing a painting like this, especially pouring over something that's not like something canvas related. I've poured over light switches, but even the light switches, the covers, they're just flat and really easy to pour on. So this is the first time I've really poured over something 3D. So I am excited to see how this goes. All the paints I'm using today are Artist Loft. Wow, I cannot speak to it. Must be the mask. The mask is already freaking me out, and trust me, it gets a lot scarier. So the paints I'm using today are just red, white, and black Artist Loft Flow Acrylic, all mixed with floetrol today. And if I were to do this again, I don't think I would use this paint and this medium, because you'll see how it tilts. It tilts very particularly because I'm tilting the painting with the mask already glued onto it. There's my cup, right? There we go. Looks nice. Made my paints pretty thick. But that floetrol, when people use floetrol as a medium, sometimes it gets very blendy. And I'm not sure I like that tone of red. So it starts off really cool. I mean, come on. That is so cool looking. Oh, so beautiful. I wasn't quite sure how to tilt. I was gonna go in a ring, but it wasn't really working because of the mask. So I just started jiggling it all over the place. And the initial pour, I think, is so pretty. It's so pretty. Now the Artist Loft Red, I think it's just called red. It comes in those really big jugs. I don't like this particular red. I liked how it poured out, but when I started tilting it, this red is more on the pink side, and in the end it didn't really work out for me. I decided I didn't have enough paint on the canvas itself, so I just put some paint in my cup. I was baffled because I had red in there and the black ate it up, like the black and white ate my red color. So now I have no idea how to tilt this thing that I've created, and it's really interesting watching back your own videos, because when you're tilting, your eyes tend to focus on not really the whole thing, not the whole painting as a whole. You try to, but you're kind of paying attention to where the weight of the paint is. So I liked how this tilted at first. I really liked that right corner, the bottom right corner. There was a lot of red there and I liked it, but as you can see, as I keep tilting it, it starts to get really gray. Everything starts to muddy up a lot, and I think that has to do with how I poured it on there. Just the gray and the white really, I guess it just blended a little bit too much. And as you can see, the mask is keeping the paint from really going over the side, so I'm getting these really long streaks of kind of mud, unfortunately. But don't worry, because I fix it. Now, interestingly, the paint on the mask actually stayed pretty much in the same place. I wonder if that's because it was on paper and maybe the paint was just sticking to the mask a little bit more, but as I tilted it off the wooden canvas, it obviously moved pretty nicely over the canvas, but the mask, it almost stayed the same. It kind of spread out. It kept, dripping down the sides a little bit, but overall it stayed pretty much the same shape, which is pretty cool. I know I've seen Mixed Media Girl do the mask and the painting separately, and that might be a good option, but as I'm looking at this, I think I would choose different colors or use a black base and then just do red and white in my cup, because things got a little too muddy for me. So here's the close-up shots. It's actually a lot more red in person. It's a very cool effect. I think if I had used different colors, I wouldn't get that black and white blending so much. I wouldn't get the gray, and it would turn out a lot nicer. I might like these shapes nicer, but I was going for something a little more horrific. So far, I love the 3D effect with the face coming out of the paint there. It looks like it's just coming out of this pool of ooze. So far, I really like it. I didn't like the blending, and I didn't like how pretty it looked. I wanted something gruesome and horrific for Halloween. I'm getting there. I'm almost there with it, so I decided to do some embellishments. So here's some of the embellishments I did. I waited until I was sure what I wanted to do with it, and then I took my deco art paint in red and just kind of splattered it all over. As you can see, I put some on the mouth to make it look like the mouth was bleeding. I splattered it all over the sides, tried to cover up some of that muddiness that I was getting from the black and gray, and I liked this a little bit better. It was getting there. And then it went through even more changes. So I drew in some eyes with this Sharpie paint marker, and I'll show you kind of how I do it. Really easy to do. It's very opaque, but I'm just kind of putting in the corners of the eyes right there. And yeah, super easy to work with. I also put in some black parts where some of the muddy was, because I really wanted this to be equal parts red, black, and white. So all those little black sections you see, I did with either a Sharpie. I kind of mixed and matched. I used a black Sharpie to draw in some of the shapes, draw over the muddy color. And then sometimes I went in with a Faber-Castell ink pen. Faber-Castell? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but they're these ink pens, and they have a finer tip, and it allowed me to get some of those finer shapes. And now I'm going to go in with a brush and just do some tiny embellishments. And I'm also going to do a few more paint splatters. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys watch this. As you can see, this went through changes off camera, but I'm trying to explain everything I did. Okay, I'm almost ready with this. I am going to bring out my Deco Art premixed paint. This is just in true red. I'm going to show you how I did some of the splatters early on. I don't know if you can see them from here, but this thing has been splattered, and I did ribbons on it, and I did manual brush work on top of the eyes and the Sharpie markers. So I'm just going to take a little bit in the cup. And the Deco Art premixed, it's interesting, it has some texture to it. So when I use this over the Liquitex Basics or the Artist Loft, when I use this over an already existing painting, it creates this kind of amazing texture. And it's shiny as well, and I really like the texture that it gives. So I'm just taking a craft stick and I'm literally just splatting the paint on it, just throwing it violently. It's all over my wall. I should have prepped more. But yeah, you can do this a number of different ways. Now I'm just kind of moving up and down so I can get bigger streaks. You can do this a number of different ways. You can use a paintbrush and use your thumb over it to create splatters. I do that to get stars and spacey backgrounds and stuff like that. You can use a bottle, like a squeeze bottle, to get like rounder splats. You do it a number of different ways. But I just like throwing the paint at it. Really gets the aggressions out. And of course, I got some in the eye. And I considered leaving it there, but it didn't look good. So not a problem at all. Just gonna take my Sharpie and fix it up after I'm done with the splats. there you have it, folks. I know I did a lot of stuff off camera for this one, but I hope I made it clear how I did it and what I was doing. I started with the tilt, I started with a simple pour, and then I just embellished where I saw fit. I took that pre-mixed paint, I got some of those really cool splatter effects. I'm still wondering if I should eliminate if I put too many black sections in the background. So I'm considering using that Sharpie pen I just showed you guys, the paint pen, and just making them white again. But it's so creepy, wow. I really like how this turned out. Really major props to Mixed Media Girl for this idea, and I'm trying to tilt it so you can see the texture in the deco art paint. It's super cool, and I think this is the type of painting that needs that texture. I think it needs a lot of different things going on to give it that creepy factor, to make it look like ooze and splatters and blood and just all kinds of things. So I'm glad I did that. I wouldn't normally be okay with this much texture, but I think for this painting it makes sense and it definitely enhances it. Well, this is too creepy to have in my room, so I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. But here is the final product. Loved the way it turned out. I love the 3D nature of it, and I cannot wait to do this again. Perfect for horror art and body horror art and spooky Halloween decorations, or just for your average spooky person that might want this for their room. Normally I am that person, so I don't know, this one is just a little too creepy for me. So that says something. Hope you really enjoyed this video. Make sure to check out Mixed Media Girl's channel and check out her mask pours that she did. They're really, really cool, and like I said, they inspired this painting. I hope you have a fantastic Halloween, and I will see you in the next one.